fertility. Free birth registration coverage is extremely low in many African countries. There is inadequate attention to the cumulative impact of violence across children's lives. There is not enough investment in regularly generating comprehensive data, and there are deep-rooted social norms and practices that still condone violence against children. As a result, while there are many children in Africa who live in joy and peace, a staggering number of children are still exposed to violence in all its forms. At least 60% of boys and 51% of girls have experienced physical abuse. In many parts of Africa, 8 in 10 children experienced violent discipline in the home. About half of children aged 13 to 15 have been bullied in schools. The continent has the highest median rates of child neglect in the world, with almost 42% of girls and 39% of boys being neglected by their caregivers. In some countries, 30 to 40% of adolescent girls are victims of sexual violence before the age of 15, and sub-Saharan Africa has the highest incidence of child trafficking in the world. Female genital mutilation is still almost universal in some countries, including Somalia, Guinea, and Djibouti, even though other countries have had success in bringing this rate down. Some children experience violence in a more sustained and damaging way than others because of their circumstances. Sexual violence inflicted on children with disabilities is high in many countries. Children with albinism are sometimes subjected to crimes and extreme forms of violence. Children living and/or working on the street are subjected to increased physical and sexual abuse. Increasingly, travel and tourism have become a key frontier for sexual exploitation of children. Terror attacks on civilians, including children, have become a grave child rights challenge. And online, children now face risks of sexual abuse through technological platforms. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought additional challenges in preventing and responding to violence against children. With more than 120 million schoolgirls at home in Africa due to COVID lockdowns, exacerbating their vulnerability, there has been a spike in reports of child abuse, domestic violence, and sexual offenses. With so much of our present and future at stake, ending violence against children has become one of the most important priorities of our time. Reaching the goal of a continent free from violence against children will thus require stakeholders to act collectively and decisively. AU and sub-regional bodies must demonstrate political leadership, fight impunity through administrative and judicial processes, and act in solidarity by accelerating the implementation of the relevant goals of Agendas 2063, 2040, and 2030. National governments need to ensure that treaties are fully ratified without reservations, and to harmonize domestic laws accordingly. Laws that criminalize all forms of violence against children must be enacted to enhance protection of children from violence. Adequate budgeting should be in place to fund a comprehensive national plan of action that is anchored within a robust child protection system that prioritizes prevention. Evidence and data on the magnitude of the phenomena, system gaps, and solutions must inform action. Civil society organizations need to engage in multifaceted advocacy and engage with governments, Pan-African and sub-regional bodies to influence policy. At a community level, they should support families to be at the forefront of violence against children prevention and response, and scale up homegrown good practices. UN agencies and international organizations should continue to provide assistance, both technical and financial, to governments and CSOs. They can also complement data collection efforts through enhancing national surveillance. The vision of creating an Africa free from violence against children starts with each of us as individuals, examining our attitudes and behaviors to ensure that we never perpetuate these issues. We invite you to take a pledge, to make a personal, lifetime commitment to help end all forms of violence against children. Let us speak out against violence against children wherever and whenever it occurs, be it in our families, at work, or in our communities. It is only through nurturing a culture of rights and dialogue that we will be able to achieve a society that is humane and free from violence, where children are raised in an environment of peace and security. free from violence against children is a vision.
Thank you. Thank you for the video, and to Your Excellencies, good afternoon. Do you have me? Apologies for that technical hitch. Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers, that is a glimpse of the 3 reports that we are launching today. The 10-minute video gives you a snapshot into the findings of our 3 reports. And I am honored to present to you this new evidence that has now been launched this afternoon by His Excellency, the President of Malawi. These 3 reports are the result of months of research across the continent, across the 55 countries, but going in depth into 20 countries. We, as the African Child Policy Forum and the African Partnership to End Violence Against Children, believe that this knowledge will serve as an important evidence base for driving forward the progress that we have had His Excellency refer to. It will catalyze political commitments and allocations of financial resources to prevent the staggering numbers, magnitude, and nature of violence faced by our children, from sexual violence, female genital mutilation and trafficking, to online sexual abuse. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, ACPF has been at the front line of advocating for an end to violence against children, including crimes of the most extreme forms of violence against children, long before the pandemic, long before violence against children was acknowledged to be a public health emergency. Our efforts have focused on complementary approaches that bring together diverse actors onto a common platform with the singular aim of preventing and responding to violence in a coordinated, multisectoral way. And that is the reason we are here today, to put our minds, voices, and actions together to multiply the impact of our individual efforts. In our first report on progress and challenges, this is a comprehensive assessment across the entire continent. The report finds that progress is based on a state's ability to effect changes in legislation and policy. We have heard about Malawi's remarkable progress in amending the constitution and laws. Such are the pillars for making progress. In addition, laws and policies must be translated into practice that supports child rights obligations. However, the report also finds that not much has significantly changed across many African countries since 2014, when we last issued a report on violence against children. It is this sluggish change that requires renewed state commitment and action. In our second report, which assesses the capacity of national governments to address violence against children, we carried out in-depth assessment in 10 countries. We sampled 2 countries from each of Africa's geopolitical sub-regions in an attempt to be representative of the continent, but acknowledging the limitation because of Africa's rich heterogeneity. This report explores the capability of governments in various elements, and I will name just a few. In enacting and implementing laws and policies, in delivering programs and services, in budget allocations, in human resource capacity, data collection, the norms and values that you had already alluded to, and the adaptability to shocks such as climate change shocks or the ongoing pandemic. The report assesses how addressing violence